Good evening. Hello. Welcome to the Town of Penfield Transportation Committee for Thursday, November 18th. It's 5 p.m. We'll go ahead and get the committee meeting started. This is a resident committee. My name is Andy Moore. I am chairman of the committee, town board member, and I would welcome you to the committee meeting tonight if you're online watching us and those in attendance here. I'll go ahead and call to order if I can. It looks like all the committee members, all the resident committee members are here and staff is present. Thank you all for attending. We'll go ahead to agenda item number 2, which is approval of minutes. It's the October 21st, 2021 minutes. Are there any questions, additions, deletions, or concerns with those minutes as presented? Hearing none, can I go ahead and get a motion to move in a second for approval?
I'll motion to accept the minutes as read.
All right, Mary, approve, or motions? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you very much. And we've got a motion and a second, and we'll go ahead. All those in favor, please say aye for the minutes as proposed.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes pass. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 3, committee discussion. We'll go ahead with number 1, Embry Road physical barrier request. Mark or Eric?
I'll take this one. So a few weeks ago, I was contacted by the resident at 575 Embry Road. This property is on the south side of Embry, just east of the Qualtro Embry intersection. The property directly to the west is kind of the property owned by Rochester Lawn Care. Over the past number of years, I don't have the exact accident data, but over the past number of years, there have been a few instances where cars traveling eastbound on Embry have failed to stay on the road and kind of make that full turn, and one of which, crossed through the lawn area of Rochester Lawn Care's property, through kind of narrowly missing some of the trees, and actually struck her vehicle in her driveway. About a month ago, or at least 3 weeks ago, another vehicle did leave the roadway and took out the actual speed limit sign that's in front of Rochester Lawn Care's, in front of their property along the Embry frontage. And her concern is that, vehicles, while they should be, maintaining control and looking where they're going, whether it's, distracted, impaired, driving, not caring, whatever it may be, speed, that, she had a concern that if vehicles continue to do this and she's in her front yard or any of her family, that there's a potential for any of them to get hit. With that said, her request is to have some type of physical barrier. She indicated some kind of bollards or something placed within the right-of-way to protect her house, driveway, vehicle. I've explained that we legally cannot install a physical barrier within the right-of-way for both liability and insurance purposes. But she seems to think that, or is under the impression that something needs to be done. Her other thought was to put essentially a guardrail along that grassy frontage area of Rochester Lawn Care's property, with the idea or intent that if a vehicle traveling eastbound does not make the curve, they hit the guardrail and they bounce back onto the road before getting to hers. So that's the request. I have explained that I don't feel that would be warranted or needed, given the situation and the infrequency of these accidents. Well, it's unfortunate that they that any vehicles have left the roadway, that I don't know that it's in the best interest or really needed.
Eric, do we have an accident history? I mean, this is the first I've ever heard of this at this particular intersection. And again, I'm not pretending that I know the accident history because I don't, but Do we have any idea of the accident history here?
I don't have that information. I'm also not aware of anything other than the most recent, speed limit sign that was taken out.
Right.
And then, what she explained, that had happened years ago with her vehicle that was struck within the driveway.
Okay.
Aside from that, I'm not aware of anything else that has taken place.
Has anybody from the Westfield Commons neighborhood identified this intersection or this area as a concern? I'm not aware that anybody has, but...
No one's reached out to me about it.
Okay. Okay.
People do go speeding down Embry, and they're heading towards Qualtrough and Scribner. And they come around that curve really fast, and I can understand. But, I mean, that probably wouldn't have stopped, the guardrail probably wouldn't have stopped, or guide rail, I'm sorry, wouldn't have stopped the vehicle from hitting her car if it went across the lawn. I don't know, because they have a driveway themselves, the lawn care place, to get out.
They do. There is a gravel driveway to access kind of along, or right along the shared property line. There are some mature pine trees.
Yeah.
I believe it's Frontier Communications does have a utility box or access point kind of tucked in those trees, and does have bollards around that, which is part of why she came up with the idea of requesting that additional bollards be installed. I've explained that the bollards really are just for, there's a couple that you can kind of see in between that. I don't know if those, I'm not sure if in the actual accident where her vehicle was struck, if that was also damaged and those bollards were installed at that point because of that. But I don't have enough of the history or even know exactly when that accident took place other than years ago.
That house is a long way away from the curb.
It is, and that's why I don't know that
Couldn't she
a
put
guide rail or guardrail
Right.
would be required. There are arrows to help identify that there is that you're approaching and even kind of making your way through the curve. So I don't see how any additional signage would help, and that's why she's looking more for a physical barrier.
Is it worth asking the sheriff's office at least to pull the accident history and see how often, I mean, we've got her statements, but we can also see if there's been other accidents in the area or how frequent this happens. And
If, for the record, and I apologize, Lieutenant Thomas, I neglected to mention you earlier as a committee member and in attendance. Can you hear us okay?
I can.
All right, thank you.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
He asked if we could hear him.
Okay.
yeah, we may ask, for the accident history in this area, we can follow up with an email, but at the end of Embry and Qualtrough, if you guys have some record of that, we can look at at a future meeting, just we can see, how often this happens, what regularity, if at all, there is in this location.
Yeah.
I'd also be interested in knowing what the contributing factors were.
Yeah.
I'm assuming speed. This looks like a tangent run out to me, right through. The fact that they haven't hit that pole is kind of a mystery.
It was probably night.
There are a couple chevrons in there. We probably could add another sign in there, but I'm not sure. I'm wondering if there's outside influences going on.
Well, that's why I
in these
wanted
incidents.
to see what the accident history was, is what
Yeah.
was excessive speed, whether it was,
Dark.
somebody was impaired, what else led to that?
Snow, it could have been.
It could have been a wintry day and they slid off the road and,
All right, so Mark, can we get that
yeah,
data?
I'll follow up with the sheriffs
Okay.
to get that.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I've just made note of pulling accident history for the Embry Road, Qualtrough area, and I can certainly start doing that or have someone do it as well.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial to the committee, just so we can make a informed decision moving forward. Just kind of dot our i's and cross our t's.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, is there any like easements in place that would prevent that homeowner from placing, physical barriers herself? Or is she just requesting?
I mean, she would have to, yeah, she would just have to do it outside the right of way. So if she wanted to plant some trees on her property or something else, it just would have to be outside the right of way. So it's not the, liability of the town. But if she wanted to plant some trees along her driveway edge, as a surety, that's something, she could take that.
And that's a viable option too.
Yep.
That's at her discretion.
Right, obviously it would be on her.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I don't know if that shows her house again, but she doesn't have a mailbox or anything, right? Because that's usually one of the first things to
I
get
think
hit.
it's on the other, I think Sarah's highlighting it. I think it's on the other side of the driveway.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
across the street.
across the street.
No,
Yeah,
on
it's
the
usually
on
the
the
first thing
same
that
side
goes.
of the street.
I think
right
it's
here.
on,
Just the other side, the east side of her driveway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there it
This
is.
is
All
her
right.
house.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I think that's a step forward. We'll have Mark reach out to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, take a look and see if there's any accident history. If there is, maybe give us an idea of what that history is and what may be some reasons for the accidents or issues, as Dan McCusker pointed out earlier. So with that, as far as a step forward, just checking to see if the committee has any other requests, any other comments or suggestions? Anything? Okay. So I propose that moving forward, bring it before the committee. If all those are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that action,
So we'll reflect this as a tabled matter to the next agenda item,
correct.
or next
Yeah.
following meeting.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you. All right, agenda item, we'll go on with agenda item number 3, number 2, Penfield Hills, Route 441, traffic light concern. Eric, you again?
got it. So I also got another email from a resident concerned about the intersection of Route 441 and Hillcrest Drive. There is an existing traffic signal at that intersection. However, they feel that a number of drivers are failing to notice or, choosing not to care, comply, whatever you want to call it, and blowing through the light when it turns red, continuing on 441, and concerned about the safety of the residents pulling out of Hillcrest onto 441, potentially being a right angle T-bone accident. With that, acknowledging that there's already a light, that it is a controlled intersection, their request was to have either some type of traffic camera installed or, more frequent patrolling of the Monroe County Sheriff's Department to monitor kind of the driving behavior through that intersection.
Are they suggesting a red light running camera or just a camera?
They did not specify. My understanding was that it was more a red light running camera, to take license plates and be able to follow up with the individuals doing that. Acknowledging that this is a New York State DOT intersection, if something were to be installed, that would be the responsibility of the state to do that at their own intersection. The Sheriff's Department, is certainly something that we can, share and request for the additional enforcement.
Eric, did they mention any particular times of the day? Is it morning commutes from people in the neighborhood trying to get onto 441, or is it the opposite at the end of the day, people on 441 trying to go down Hillcrest into the neighborhood?
They did not specify. It seemed like it was more the residents as they're trying to leave the neighborhood, but did not indicate what time of day. I can
Okay.
certainly follow up and see if there's a particular time, that's more noticeable than not.
I think this is one you engage the state on. You should run this past the traffic office with the state. Let them do some analysis on the accident history and the perception of a problem. Because any solutions are going to be on a state highway, so.
Right. Okay. Any other, Dan, I think that's a good suggestion. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, I would propose that we take Dan's suggestion and contact the New York State Department of Transportation, the traffic office there, and check and see if there's been any accident histories or what they have as far as any data points on that intersection, and then report back to the committee as such. And then we can make a decision maybe at the January meeting on any steps forward that may need to be taken or address this particular intersection appropriately at that
Andy,
time.
would we also be asking the state to analyze the intersection or just for that accident data?
Dan, what would be your suggestion?
I would suggest have the state look at the intersection and do
Okay.
what they'll do is either do a study or they'll look at, see if there are previous studies, forward the information right on to them. The exact claim and the proposals, and let them come back to the town with
Okay.
what they want to do. This is really not a town issue. This is a state highway issue. It should go to them.
And I only brought it up more so as it was a request, for the additional enforcement efforts as well.
Yep.
Absolutely go for that.
Okay.
But I would also, put it on the radar of the state traffic office and see if there's been there might already be research on this.
Okay. All right, good suggestions, Dan. Why don't we go ahead and move in that direction for some type of report out for the January Transportation Committee meeting? Any additional questions or comments from committee members? All right, I propose that we move forward as suggested. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, path forward carries. Thank you, committee members. We'll go to agenda item number 3, which is 5 Mile Line Road and Atlantic Avenue intersection, kind of a wrap-up summary.
Thank you. So this, actually, we walked it today with the state, but this is a project that we've shared with this committee for a number of years, back to this is an issue, this is a concern, back with, Terry Rice at the time, and then looking at the accident data at this intersection. So we actually were able to work with the state and get funding because of the accident rate, was I think 3 times or 5 times the statewide average. So it qualified for safety money, got in and moved ahead with the project, but just now as it's completing, Sarah's showing kind of the early parts of the project as they set up, but it's added turn lanes on all 4 legs, the northbound, southbound, east and west, has added a turn lane, a dedicated turn lane for it. One of the items that's been updated, originally we looked at a roundabout, it went back to being a 4-leg intersection with turn lanes. One of the items that had updated through the project is it went from not having the tubes in the road to signal it. They've switched to a camera system. So the county does it all over the place, but this is one of the first for the state, at least in this region, is to have cameras. So it'll monitor who pulls into that turn lane. And I know the question came up a couple weeks ago about bicyclists and how would it monitor it, but now we've actually got a dedicated camera over every turn lane that looks down and sees if there's cars waiting. And then while there's not a dedicated left turn arrow, if you go there's like a blinking yellow that says you can turn. At least it's wired up for it. They've got the mast arms in. We were there today. They were putting the signs up. They've got the crosswalk stripe. There's PET indicators at all 4 corners. So just kind of wanted to bring it back to this committee since it started here many, many years ago. This committee, recommended some improvements to the intersection, passed it on to the state, worked with the state. They've gone through their design and, now through construction, and they were, hanging the last bits and pieces and finishing topsoil. So they may have a few touch-ups come springtime to come back through to establish grass and any wheel ruts, but it's pretty much at completion at this point. So I know I've observed just my going to and from, it's already made a huge improvement. I mean, I don't know on the accident end, but just on the backup, going through there at drive times before, I'd see it backed up to Scribner, even Qualtro at times, going the other way, but now just with that dedicated lane, it allows the through traffic to flow, and then the people turn after that. So I've noticed, I don't know if other have been through there, but it seems to have made, a significant improvement already. Yeah.
Mark, I'm just curious, is that the downstream, if you're talking about flow, is the next intersection downstream of that, is that backing up anymore now that they're allowing traffic through here so well?
I haven't heard or haven't seen that. I mean, at least the Scribner Road intersection, does have turn lanes at it, so I think it's helped. The next intersection going east, you've got Baird Road, which is unsignalized, and then you go further down, you pass the town hall, you'll end up at the 250 Atlantic intersection, the Jackson intersection, and they've done some updates to that one. We'll have to see, how that does. That was a stop sign for many, many years, and then, within the last 5 or 10, was signalized. I think I haven't seen a major backup to that yet, but obviously, kind of time will tell if, that kind of trickles down to the next one. But, at this point, I think at least you get through the first one, and then I think traffic kind of dissipates down Baird and go to, into some of the neighborhoods around here. But at least my anecdotal, I haven't, done counts, but at least anecdotally, looking at it, it's, visually it's been an improvement so far. So hopefully it continues that way.
Yeah, I drive through that intersection twice a day, coming and going to work, and so far I would say it's a major success story. I think at times, there's always going to be a little bit of a backup for a short period of time. It's just, just inevitable, but so far it is far better than what it was before. When you're right, you are at that Scribner Road, Whalen Road, Atlantic Avenue intersection, and you couldn't move forward.
Yep.
And you just don't see that right now. Now, you could argue that maybe traffic volumes are down a little bit more than they normally are, and time will tell, but I think it's going to significantly decongest that area during morning commutes and evening commutes. So, all right, any questions? I guess one question, Mark, is, and I get asked this from time to time, the house at the intersection, is that staying, going?
The house is staying.
It's staying?
If you're interested, it can be yours. Dolomite offered it up during the project to the state if they needed it.
Old White House?
The old White House, they've been using it as part of,
I thought people lived there, because I remember seeing Christmas decorations and stuff out front of that
I don't know. I don't know in the past year or so. I know Dolomite has owned it up and rented it out.
Oh, okay.
But that house is remaining to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
It's
They've
adorable.
used kind of that staging area to the east, southeast. That was an undeveloped property, and they had offered to use it as a staging area. So I know there's still some rocks that are piled there, and I guess the people that own the property are interested in keeping the rocks.
Okay.
And want to, and similar to what we've kind of got on the other side, doing some landscaping out of it or putting those around. So they're topsoil and seeding around, but there's a little bit of a rock pile there that they're going to make into a decorative garden, I guess, is what I've heard.
All right, great. All right, any other questions for staff from committee members?
No.
All good? All right. Moving on to agenda item number 4, held items. I don't believe there are any held items at this point. Mark, I'll just confirm that with you.
No.
No? Okay, cool. Any new business? Agenda item number 5.
Yes, I did receive an email that came in just earlier this week, just before the agenda itself, or just after the agenda was published. So wanted to bring it up during new business, but this was a request from the property owner at 1708 Qualtro Road. Their request is to have a kind of a left and right arrow in their front yard facing the away from their house. Their house is actually right across from the intersection of Qualtro and Hallmark, and they kind of referenced just down the road, the next intersection at City View and Qualtro, there is a sign in the front yard of that particular house that's across from the T intersection with an arrow. The concern is that as cars, and whether they've witnessed it or have had issues with vehicles not realizing that you have to turn left or right as you're leaving the neighborhood and turning onto Qualtrough, whether they've had vehicles drive into their front yard. I'm not positive, but their request, seeing that a sign had been installed just to the north, that they would also like the same in their front yard.
So Sarah and I did a little digging this afternoon and pulled out the MUTCD, which is the manual we follow. And based on that, if it's a stop sign regulated intersection, you might need to blow that up just a little bit. If there is a stop sign, it's regulated with a stop sign, you're not supposed to have the dual arrows. So I'm just looked at Google Street View. Yes, City View does have it at the end of it, so I'm not sure what the impetus for that was, or what the timing of it was, or whether there was a stop sign at that point in time at the end of City View. But the manual of urban traffic control devices, which we follow, distinctly has a line, says that if it's controlled by a stop sign, you shouldn't have an arrow either direction. So I think this one may need to do a little further digging and find out why City View has one, what the timing of the stop sign was, and Sarah, if you want to pull up the Street View again, we can kind of share, what those are. But
Eric, is she saying that cars stop at the intersection and then go straight into her yard? I guess I'm confused.
I'm still not positive. I haven't had a chance to follow up. The email just came in, or came in last week when I was off, and I kind of just got it.
Yeah, okay.
so this is the end of City View. So right, just on your right in the view is the stop sign. So it is a stop sign regulated intersection. There's the stop sign. And then looking across, so you're at the end of City View looking across at Qualtrough, and then at some point, whether we installed the arrows or the arrows came first and then the stop sign, but we have many T intersections in town that come to the end that we don't have arrows pointing either way. It's a normal stop, regulated. You can see that
And
it's
it would just be people coming out of a neighborhood, right? It's not like that's a.
Yeah, and that's why I say we looked at some other ones at the end of Creek Street, or we looked at other locations that there's T intersections, and it's not, there's not a, arrows at either end, but
Sorry.
That's all right.
it's got to
I can
jump
go
back
back
a little
and
bit.
change
But-
it.
So then she's the next street to the south, so this is coming out of this neighborhood. Yeah, as you
Yeah,
can see, as you're approaching the intersection, there's a stop sign there, so it is a, Qualtrough does not have a stop, so it's a flow through on Qualtrough. There is a stop at the end of City View, but then, according to the manual, if it's controlled by a stop sign, you shouldn't have the dual arrows at either end. You'd pull up, stop, look, see that you've got to go either left or right. And then as Sarah's jumping down to the Hallmark one, this is the house at the end of it that says, well, we want what they've got. But we need to, I think, do a little more investigating to see why the other one has what it has, and that one, because that one may be missigned, doesn't make it right that we should sign
Well,
this
maybe
one.
they've had, unexpected company park in their yard.
Yeah, that's what I say. We just got the email in.
Yeah.
Eric wanted to bring it up, but we did,
Narrow.
did have a chance to go through the manual, and, so I think we need to do a
People
little,
just ignore stop signs anyhow.
which is true, but
It's difficult to see from the Google Earth images, but I suspect that the stop sign is much newer.
that was
The
our,
arrow sign just wasn't removed when the stop sign was put in, and it should have been. Because if you look at the other
kind of our
image,
thought was,
there's not much reflectivity, it looks like, left on that other sign, which is telling me that it's pretty old. And the back of the stop sign, we tried to look at the front of it, but the back of the stop sign looks relatively new.
You can
So-
see the stop sign very well in that view, and the,
Yeah.
and that was our
Arrows are
thought, is whether it was unsignalized before, it was just a T, so
Yeah.
that the arrows were there, and then when the stop sign was put in, the arrows were never removed as
Right.
should have been done at that time.
My guess is if you drive there at night, there's not much reflectivity on that arrow sign, which would tell you it's pretty old.
Yeah, we
There is
we
a-
did go through a kind of a sign upgrade improvement project over the past number of years. The primary focus was, street signs and stop signs, speed limit signs for the reflectivity. Toward the tail end of the project, the individual that was kind of heading that up did retire, so I don't know if it's just something that he didn't get around to and no one else, realized or picked up, after the fact. I mean, both intersections do have streetlights at the actual corner to light up the intersections. You know, that was one of my questions. I haven't had a chance to get out there and take a look, but seeing the street view, both intersections do have streetlights. Well, that one's on during the day.
Why not?
We'll check the photo cell on that
Hopefully
one.
it's minimally on at night as well. I don't know if maybe there other contributing factors, the street light at Hallmark in Qualtrough, if that's been out. We have had a number that we've been working on to replace, repair, depending on the situation. Maybe that's part of it. I can certainly check on that street light itself. The resident did indicate that there has been a few instances where cars almost driven into their yard, just whether it's not knowing the area, not paying attention. They did not indicate whether the cars were blowing through the stop sign or just not paying attention, not realizing, not knowing where to go. Who knows?
Well, one thing we have said in this committee is that we want consistency with these signs. So now we're stuck with, are we going to take that arrow?
Well, as I say, I think this may be another
you
table
need
matter.
to do the right thing, and the right thing might be to remove the other sign.
Right.
As much as that might not make the property owner happy, that if there's no warrant for that sign, then it should have been removed when the stop sign was put in.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. You have to do the history research and find out what happened there, but my suspicion is it just didn't get removed when it should have.
forgotten.
And if we are trying to be consistent in the entire neighborhood, where that neighborhood connects to Creek Street does not have the arrows.
Good point.
You'd end up installing these things at every single T intersection you have in the town.
Right. I mean, that's why the manual exists, for consistency and conformity. There's a lot of research that goes behind why decisions are made like that. So unless there's a compelling reason, I would say remove the other sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just the way it's going to be.
Okay. I think we have a path forward then, and we'll put it on the agenda for the January meeting. Any other comments, suggestions, discussion items on this particular matter from the committee members?
No.
Hearing none. Anything else from staff on this? All right, then I will go ahead and let's have a vote to proceed ahead with the plan as proposed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. The action item moves forward as planned and will be put on the agenda. It will be tabled for tonight and put on the agenda for next week. Hopefully we'll have, or next month, hopefully we'll have some additional information to make a decision at that point. All right, Eric, any other new business from Sarah? Anything? Mark, Eric? We good?
Nope.
All right, cool. Public participation, agenda item number 6. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to participate in tonight's discussion? Don't all speak at once. All right, hearing none, we'll move on. And the next meeting, I'm sorry, I did say January. I should say the next meeting is scheduled for February 17th, 2022. I apologize. I said January a couple times in the past, so please make those corrections to February. Appreciate that. And we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. For tonight, I'd like to thank PCTV.
Mr. Chairman, before
Yes.
you conclude the meeting, as this is your last meeting, I just would like to thank you for your 12 years of service to the town. Thanks for being the chair of this committee. We appreciate your support and leadership through this journey we've had the past 12 years. So just wanted to acknowledge that before the end of it. This is your last meeting on the Transportation Committee, and on behalf of the committee, on behalf of the residents, many thanks to you for your time and your service.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Can't thank the staff enough, PCTV, everybody here, Eric, Sarah, Linda, Mark, you guys have been fantastic. Downstairs, PCTV has been wonderful, providing a level of transparency and open government to Penfield residents that they deserve, and this town has tried to increase on that and provide greater open access to government over the years. And certainly the committee members up here, we've got two long-standing committee members here with Lori and Mary. Thank you, Dan. You're in that category too. You've been here for a while. Jason, thank you for joining us. I think you've been here 2 years now or so. And all the committee members that have come and gone. And so it's been a pleasure. Absolutely love this town, and I've been the chairman, I think, 12 years now on this committee, and it's been tough sometimes. I got to be honest about it. We've made some tough decisions that maybe didn't make some people happy. We've made some decisions that did make some people happy, but I think this committee has always tried to look at the matters that came before us from a greater good of the town of Penfield, and not trying to show favoritism towards certain neighborhoods or certain individuals, whether residential or commercial, whatever it may be, and really look out for the best interest of Penfield moving forward. That's really all I had to say. Again, thank you for everything. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to the future. So everybody have a good night. We'll go ahead and close the meeting as of tonight on November 18th, 2021, Penfield Transportation meeting. Thank you.